Hello, everybody. It's Kevin Ferguson, the Money Man, and I got Gavin Rich here in the flesh, straight from Honeston. Looks like fresh as a daisy, bud. You look beautiful, man.
Thanks.
Gavin Rich Pickings. Gav, we got Ireland right last week. I said they wouldn't lose by 13. In fact, they absolutely bitch slapped England. I said I got it wrong with Scotland-Wales, but I didn't bet on the game. I thought Scotland would be a runaway, and Wales were brave, and they were this, and they were unlucky. Now they fucking lost. Yeah. They're now 2-18. You've got a woman that's getting paid from her predecessor, who was on £365,000 a year, making that money. And just if I had a 5% accuracy rate, in my business, I would have fired myself. Everybody would drag me out of here and beat me to a pulp.
Well, you'll remember that I did send you a WhatsApp message at halftime, or just after halftime of that game, and I said I still think Scotland will win, which they did, but that it was the best half of rugby I've seen from Wales since the World Cup. But,
I'll tell you why that was, Gav, because Scotland played their World Cup the week before against England.
Yeah, well, we said that. I mean, that's one of the reasons I wasn't so sure that they were going to win by a mile against Wales. It was but look, you know what? What's wrong with Welsh rugby? Cardiff City are a soccer team, aren't they?
Yeah, well, what's wrong with Welsh rugby? It's just being run by a woman who's a former committee head and head of ethics. Yeah. Her rugby experience is nil.
That is a bit odd. I mean,
I'll tell you what, I will do the job for nothing.
Yeah.
I'll go and run the fucking thing and get out of the shit. And I'm an accomplished CEO for nothing. I mean, that job is a pleasure. Just cover my expenses. I have lots of expenses.
But what I was going to say was that just about Cardiff City was that Sam Warburton, who is one of the most recent sort of Welsh great players, he writes a column in the Times in London, or the Sunday Times. It depends which day of the week it comes out. And
the guy that was disparaging about South Africa being in the URC.
Yeah, back in the day. But he mentioned that he hadn't seen the England game. He didn't see the game between Scotland and England the week before live because he was at Cardiff City with his son. So, I mean, that there is maybe a problem with Wales. I mean, rugby's not the number one sport it was. And people are starting to get interested in the other two sports. I think I said it to you before on one of my tours to Wales, which was... probably the last one was probably a good 8 years or so ago now. I think Swansea and Cardiff were still in the Premier League. I mean, everybody there was just talking about soccer. I mean, it wasn't rugby wasn't the and they draw full houses to the games, even though they're no longer in the Premier League. So you've got to sort of say, well, there's a shift in emphasis there as well.
I don't know if you know this, but I'll tell you the problem with Welsh rugby. Besides this tyranny, besides a woman that's 2-18 and getting a salary.
2-19 now.
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
I think it's 2-19. I think it's gone further than 2.
Well, that's about a 4.8% victory success rate. For a job. Now, I'd say that Wales should be winning about 60% of 55% of its games. Yeah. So she's performing grossly incompetent, grossly mismanaging whatever she's doing there. Ethics committee. What in God's name is wrong with Welsh rugby? They've got a woke society. You can't go to a school and take pictures of your nieces without getting accosted by the mob. They banned Tom Jones' YYY Delilah from the Principality Stadium a couple of years ago, and that was the first nail in the coffin. You know, when you got all these people, and then you got all these people worrying about this and that, it's a piss off, man. Get Welsh rugby back. She was brought in because the previous regime was homophobic, misogynistic, and what do they call it? Toxic masculinity, and What do we have? Wonderful female masculinity now with a less than 4% win rate over 2 years? I'll take the toxic masculinity. Thank you. Anyway, enough said about her. In fact, she annoys me.
Well, you're Welsh, so she probably ignores you more than she would annoy me. I'm I'm just sort of ambivalent on what happens in Wales because it's been happening for quite a while, and it's
not this level, this level of debauchery.
Well, they did win that. They did win the Six Nations as recently as I think 2021, didn't they? I mean,
5 years ago.
It's not that long ago.
Do you talk about the Box 5 years ago?
No, but I'm just saying that it's not as. What I'm saying is the decline hasn't been as gradual as I'm saying it is, because they did win it. I mean, that British and Irish Lions side that came out in 2021, okay, they had Warren Gatland as the coach, but it was filled with Welsh players.
No, we had some world-class players. We had, anyway, I could go on all day about Welsh rugby, but let's get into something better.
Yeah.
Let's get into Ireland beating England. How was that? I mean, what were the headlines after England beat New Zealand? Now, bearing in mind, they beat New Zealand by about 13, 14 points, or 17 points. I can't remember. At home. South Africa went out there and clubbed 43 points against them and beat them by 35 points, I think.
Yeah, 43-10, 33.
Well,
you're talking about the game in Wellington last year. Yeah.
They were absolutely bitch-slapped. And then when England beat New Zealand, the talk was the best front three in the world. England have arrived. I mean, there was a crowning glory. All we were short of is Prince Andrew putting the things over people.
Yeah.
Gav, come on! You must have been grinning like a Cheshire cat.
Well, I mean, the thing was that before this,
and that's not. Sorry, let me say this. That is not a good Irish side. They were made to look good.
Well, there's the Ashes. I mean, before the Six Nations started, I wrote a column saying that I worry about the Ashes, the Ashes effect. Because before the Ashes, I actually supported England going into the Ashes against Australia, and I thought that the England cricket team could actually win that series, and it was based on the confidence of the UK media. They were just incredibly confident because they do that. They can lose 3 games in a row, and then the rugby team can thrash Wales. I think Canada, I said to you once before. They'll put 60 points against Canada, and they can see world-beating performance in that, which isn't just, they just don't have perspective. I think that Eddie Jones has it right, the former England coach, who said sometime this week that one of the problems with England in the Six Nations Championship is they got too far ahead of themselves. One of the most boring quotes as a journalist, when I sit at a press conference or I interview a player and I talk about their chances of winning something, like winning the World Cup, one of the most boring quotes, but the most often repeated quotes is, "We're just focusing on this game. This is the game that we're focusing on.
One at a time.
We're not looking at one at a time." Yeah. I mean, exactly. You can sprout out all the garbage. It's all cliches, and it's like, but you need to do that. And England didn't do that. Steve Borthwick at the start of this competition said, "We want people to come to Paris for the decider." Those were his words, something to that effect. We want to come to we want to be going to Paris, and I think, look, maybe the full context was we want to be playing for the decider in Paris, but he shouldn't have been going that far ahead, because immediately his players and their girlfriends and wives, are thinking, we need to get tickets for that game because our husband or our boyfriend is going to be playing for the so immediately everybody's looking into the future instead of looking at what was the immediate focus then, which was Wales. Fortunately, it was Wales, because anybody can beat Wales, as we know, and they were playing Wales at home. Yeah. So they were playing Wales at home. They put 40 points past Wales, and then behaved as if they just made a statement performance. I'm sorry. I mean, the Springboks beat Wales. I know it wasn't the full strength Wales team, 73-0 at the end of last year, but it was in Cardiff.
You say it's not a full strength team, but what is a fucking full strength team for Wales?
Well, exactly.
I mean, the average players in there are about as good as the so-called first team players.
Yeah.
There's not much to choose from.
No, exactly. So they were crowing about the Welsh game. I think it was Ellis Genge, the front row player. He made a comment saying maybe we got too carried away with that win. I would say that they got carried away before that. I mean that the coach was talking about Paris, which I think is on the 14th of March, which was at that point was almost 2 months ahead, was talking about Paris at that stage was, to me, a cardinal error. And I think Eddie's got it spot on. I think that...
So did I. I said take France to win the Grand Slam at
take
2.5.
Take France to win the Grand Slam, but not necessarily England to be playing for the Grand Slam there. I think we said it In fact, when we did our first, the Scotland-England game wasn't taking place that weekend. It was England against Wales. But I said to you, let's see them get past Scotland first.
Yeah.
They don't win in Edinburgh. They haven't won in Edinburgh for a long time. So and I also said that if they want to be World Cup contenders, then they've got to beat Scotland, because everybody else beats Scotland. I mean, everybody else who's a World Cup contender. The All Blacks, even in this time when the All Blacks are struggling, they still beat Scotland in Edinburgh. And the Springboks only lose to Scotland in their really bad years. Yeah. Like back in the day, and I think Rudolph Strauli's era in 2002, they lost.
Yeah.
And that was a horribly selected team. And they lost, I think, once under Peter de Villiers. Yes, I think it was about 2010. They lost at Edinburgh as well. But that was also a sort of a makeshift team. I think Peter Perp chose the second string team that day. England go there full strength every time. They up against a full strength Scotland side. Everybody takes the Six Nations very seriously, and they lose every time. So why Steve Borthwick was thinking about France when he should have been thinking forget about Wales, but thinking about Scotland.
I've forgotten about Wales, mate.
Yeah.
Throw my hat in the ring for a free job, but what more can you do? Do you know who the biggest winner? Do you know who the biggest winner is last weekend? Do you know who the biggest winner was?
No, tell me.
Rassie Erasmus, the genius.
Why?
He must have been laughing his bollocks off at England, watching England fumble. They were like 15 monkeys fucking a football on that field.
I think knowing Rassie, he would probably quite enjoy having England coming here with expectation. And now they're not, and he might be a bit irritated by that.
You're going Donnie Darko on me. You're really getting into the.
No. I think Rassie. I just think Rassie will think that I want to play against England, thinking that they're the number one in the world, and we'll show them that they're not. Yeah. And now they're going to come here, sort of having lost to France. I mean, I don't think they'll lose to Italy and Rome, but who knows?
I'm not discounting that.
No, neither am I.
Yeah,
neither am I. So, but they're going to come to South Africa.
I think Italy are targeting that game.
They're going to have won 2 games. Well, but they've got a break now, so they can. Both teams are going to. The interesting thing actually is this going into the next round of games in the Six Nations, and it's the same as the URC, is that there's this new sort of concept that's come through, or this new talking point, which is that you're allowed to lose 2 in a row.
Yeah.
Well, you must. One defeat is an aberration. 2 defeats is something to be concerned about, and then a 3rd defeat is like basically you're in trouble. And it's happening in England, where now they're saying if Steve Borthwick doesn't beat Italy in the next game, then his position is in jeopardy. The Sharks,
of course, his position
the Sharks won 2 in a row against the Stormers.
You've got Scott Robinson. Sorry to cut you off. Yeah. You've got Scott Robinson, who's available to coach.
Yeah,
Borthwick is a muppet. I mean, there's nothing about him.
They did win 12 in a row, but I mean,
against who?
Yeah, well, that was the thing. Well, they played most of those games at home. They played away against Argentina, but Argentina were under strength. Yeah, so were England, to be fair. Yeah, and actually, maybe some of those players that played against Argentina in July last year should actually, because those were the guys who didn't go on the Lions tour.
Well, is there any way that England beats France? Absolutely no way. In from what I see. Well, Italy would be a tough game. So the England could be with 4 losses. 3. I'm thinking 3.5. I think that the Italy-England game is Italy be playing out of their boots. They played well all 6 nations. What I liked about the England game, but the big front 3, the best in the world.
Yeah.
They couldn't catch. They couldn't take line out. They couldn't scrum over a terrible Ireland team, who everybody else is scrumming off the ball. Was it Ben? Who's the guy that was chased down by the Irish guy?
You talking somebody? It was Ben Hill. I don't know.
No, it was. Is it the black-haired guy? The spiky hair.
Marcus Smith.
Marcus Smith. He was chased down like a deer by a cheetah by this guy. I mean, this guy was streaking. He gave up like at about the 22-yard line. It was like I said, they couldn't take. They were directionless. There was no decent throw-ins. I mean, they were losing throw-ins. They were just knocking the ball. They looked pathetic. And if I was an England fan looking at that, because Now, they made Ireland look very good. As we both know, this is the Irish Empire is in decline.
Well, yeah, their attacking shape was really good in that game.
Yeah, against who?
They've got but they had outstanding. I mean, they had so much variation to their game, and I think it shocked England, and it shouldn't.
But
the thing about Ireland even when the Ireland are in decline, they've got organised. They actually are organised. I mean, the one thing that Ireland are is very well coached. And I saw a very good line actually in the Times. Or was it the Sunday Times, in the UK version, obviously, this last weekend from David Walsh, who I really admire as a sports writer.
Yeah.
And he sort of, a couple of weeks ago, wrote about the decline of Ireland. And then he wrote a piece now talking about how poor England were and how about Ireland just brought passion that England didn't.
Yeah.
And
they wanted it more.
He said, when it comes to Ireland, like, basically whether when you're asking that question about whether they're in decline or not, and whether this is an example, this is an indication that all the sort of portents of doom were wrong. He says, never forget that you've got to be very wary of the sting of the dying bee.
Well,
that's a good line.
I think that's a great line because when you rewind and go back to the Buck game.
Yeah.
The Bucks should have won that by 40 points.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. But they didn't. They won it by, I think, 12. I can't remember the exact score.
It was about 24-13 or something.
Okay,
like
11. They won
11th, it was about 12, yeah.
So they won it by a small margin by what they should have been destroyed.
Yeah.
And that was in the tackles, the passion, the commitment. So you're right about Ireland. I mean, they wanted the game more than I. And I couldn't believe what I was seeing because you thought, okay, England's going to come back, man. They've got to come back. Yeah. And then they just couldn't. I was smiling. It was like I was doing na 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 na.
No, but you've got it. I mean, the one player that Ireland have that is absolutely outstanding and is somebody who can almost win a game by himself is Jamison Gibson Park.
Yes.
I mean, that guy is and he's not Irish.
No, I don't. Yeah, I kind of knew that.
And the other thing that because we spoke about it last week when I spoke to you from Arniston, I said that Farrell is trying some new things now. Stuart McCloskey, where has he been? I mean, he made his debut about 11 years ago, and he's only played 29 tests for Wales. I mean, for Ireland.
Yeah. Look, we're trying to recruit him. I know that
he was absolutely outstanding. That wing Balakoon is outstanding as well, and the fullback, the guy who came on, he's also outstanding. So they've got. But what I'm saying is that
don't get carried away with Ireland
they're not
win.
Completely new players, but they're relatively fresh compared to some of the old stages. So they are starting to turn.
Can they scrum?
To turn the no, well, I don't think they can. I mean, I still think England got the better of them. You mentioned England. England
should have destroyed them. I mean, I'd read that they had the best front three in the world.
Yeah.
So I was just like, what are these guys going to do to them with the best front three after South Africa had destroyed them?
Yeah, no.
You know, that's a sort of dominance
but
that I wanted to see.
France never went out to destroy them at scrum time either. And somebody said that the French scrum has been a bit disappointing in the Six Nations.
No, the French like to play with the ball.
I would beg to differ because I would say that France have a different angle at the moment. They're playing a different game. They're not doing what the Boks specifically went out in Dublin to mess them up at forward. I mean, to mess them up in the scrums. That was almost their sole plan. Whereas France have a more holistic approach in the Six Nations when they played them in Paris. And that French, I mean, I know that they struggled against Italy, but that
so
French
did Ireland.
That French team is, exactly. But I mean, they didn't really struggle.
They were scrummed off the ball. They were tackled going backwards.
But they still lost. They still won by 25 points.
Ireland didn't beat Italy by 25 points.
Oh, no. I'm talking about France.
Okay.
France. Yeah.
Look, let's move on with it because the fans hate when we just talk. But
what's that?
No, I'm kidding. I did my big bet. Was I said I licked my lips when I saw it, 29.5 points, France to beat Italy. And I said, no way, that's never going to happen. And it didn't. So I made lots of money on the weekend. People who follow me, please like and click. If I make a big bet, just do it. I mean, I win 75, 80% of my big bets. I've been doing that for years. I mean, I really like that bet. And so what was it, 22 points I lost by?
I think it was 33-8 or something. I mean, it was. I know it was. I know the bookies had Italy losing by 31, and that's what you said that they wouldn't lose by that much. I said they might. I thought there might be a blowout in that game, and that. But then the fact that it was also being played in Lille and not in Paris, there's all those things that to be taken into consideration.
Well, Gavlar, let's get into the URC.
That's a difficult one.
I know you pontificating as you're walking into the office, and you're not getting any sympathy from me, brother.
Yeah, it's just, to me it's a difficult one. I mean, the Sharks, we got that one right.
Yes, because we picked the line, so we got 3 out of 4 right.
It was because I'd been tipped off that the Sharks were going under strength. So when they went under strength,
but that's why people should tune in and listen to our shows, because we usually have good tips and good inside information through our connections.
So that's it. So the Sharks we're going under strength without Andre Esterhuizen, without Ethan Hooker, without Siya Kolisi, without Oxenshare in particular. They're not the same team. Grant Williams, they're not the same team, and maybe the Sharks thought they were. Maybe there's a bit of arrogance there. We've
scratched our head at some of Masadi's decision making, haven't we? Just in terms of.
Well, there is an odd thing at the Sharks. I mean, do you know that their record against the Stormers and the Bulls, who are the best URC teams historically? I mean, the Stormers have won the competition. They played in a final. The Bulls have played in 3 finals and lost, but they've been in the top 2 twice, or two or 3 times. So, I mean, the Bulls and the Stormers are the best URC teams. The Sharks' record in the last 2 years is they've played 7 games against the Bulls and Stormers. They've won 6 of them. The only game they lost was here at New Year last year, when they lost in the last few minutes to a Stormers try. But they've beaten the Stormers more than the Stormers have beaten them in the last 2 years, and they haven't lost to the Bulls.
The only reason I can think so is because the Sharks are a bit isolated in terms of way up the coast. The Stormers, to me, and the Bulls and Lions, especially the Bulls with Rupert and the Lions with the guys on Capitek, they get a lot of attention, don't they, from the rugby fraternity.
Yeah.
So when you're the Sharks and you're in a primetime game, you can sell your wares that game. I think their motivation to play those games is greater than the Bulls and the Stormers. That's the only explanation.
Their motivation is that the Springboks who play, because they usually have full strength team when they play the Stormers. That's the thing. When they play the Lions, often they're under strength.
Yeah.
But when they play the Stormers and the Bulls, their Springboks know that they're playing against guys who want their places as well. Yeah. So there's that as well. I think sometime in the last few weeks, I likened this. In fact, it was before last week's game against the Lions. I likened the Sharks a bit to Scotland against England. Yeah. Because Scotland always get up against England. The Sharks always get up against. Well, they didn't 3 years ago, but the last 2 years they've always got up against the Stormers and against the Sharks. So it's there has to be something in that now, and I think it comes down to respect as well. I think that they respect those 2 teams more than they respect the Lions.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Which and they get caught out because JP Peterson didn't have to necessarily take the understrength team. I know he has to rest players, but he could have actually, so they're going full strength to the Bulls this week. I mean, their full strength team is playing against the Bulls. So what does that tell you about the priority? So if I was Cash van Rooyen, the Lions coach, what would I have said to my players last week before the game? I would have said, these guys don't respect you. They're sending their understrength team.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And for me,
they haven't beaten the Lions. They haven't beaten the Lions in the last 2 years. They've lost 4 out of 4 against the Lions. Yeah. That's ridiculous. I'm sorry. With respect to the Lions, that is ridiculous. That is a ridiculous stat.
I agree with your logic. Okay, so let's Lions versus Stormers. What's your because you don't know the odds. You're not one of these mastermind gamblers and stuff like that.
But I'll tell you this. That one of the reasons I said that the Sharks would lose to the Lions this last weekend because it was a 2:00 kickoff on a February afternoon in Johannesburg altitude.
You did.
So that was going to be that's a stumbling block. So theoretically, 2:30 on Saturday afternoon at Ellis Park That's when the Stormers game kicks off. It's half an hour later. We should have the same reservations about the Stormers. But there's one key difference. The weather forecast, or certainly when I looked, I haven't looked today, to be honest, but when I looked at the weather forecast yesterday, they were predicting rain for Joburg. And they were predicting lower temperatures, like lower 20s.
That suits the Stormers, doesn't it?
Exactly. So it immediately takes away the... It immediately takes away the altitude effect, the harshness of the altitude effect.
Yeah.
And let's not forget something else, Kevin. The last time the Stormers played at the Highveld was on March the 1st last year.
Yeah.
They played the Bulls. You might remember that game. They played them in terrible weather. The game was postponed because of an electric storm, and the Stormers won 19-16. And the stars of that game were their kicking halfbacks, Steph Angara and Yuri Matia. And look, I mean, I won't take poison on this, but I believe that Sasha won't play on Saturday. I think that he's going to be rested because of the Springbok resting protocols, possibly Damian Willemse too. So I think that the Stormers will be taking Yuri Matia and Angara again at halfback for this game. And that works for the Stormers. It works for the Stormers because they're not going to be doing all that flashy stuff with those two guys at fly half. I mean, at halfback. So,
well, there's no doubt in my mind that the break came along at the right time for the Stormers.
Yeah. It did come at the right time. So that's in favor. That's in favor of the Stormers. The one thing I have about the Stormers now is that they've lost Ruben van Heerden, the lock, to injury until April. Salman Marotta's out, as you know, and he's going to be out for a while. So the Stormers don't have that depth at lock that they had. So Ben Jason Dixon might end up playing lock at some point. They brought Chiva Diamani back from France, and that to me is an indication that the Stormers' strength might change. I mean, because he's a linking player. I mean, he's an attacking loose forward, and so the Stormers' big strength back in November. In October, because I think they changed their game a little bit in December. Their big strength was that depth they had in the forwards. They had a 6-2 split on the bench, and they had like a bomb squad that came on. They don't have that now because they don't have quite the same depth at forward. So that's changed a bit, and it's a pity from their viewpoint because if it is a wet game, obviously the forwards have a bigger role to play. And the Stormers played very well in the Northern Hemisphere in October and November. So it's an intriguing one. I don't like betting against the Lions in Joburg because I think that they're a better team than was shown when they lost to the Bulls in that game. But I think that game when it was when was it? The end of January, when they lost by 50 points. But I do think the Stormers are set up well for this game, and I don't know what the odds are, but I would.
I know you don't. That's why I'm asking you.
I would bet on the Stormers to win.
What score would you give me?
It'll be close. The Stormers will win by less than 7.
Okay, the betting is 5.5.
5.5. Okay.
Meaning, you. And again, for those that don't know, there's a bit of information. I know a lot of people that do know the stuff, but handicap betting is you start. If you say, okay, Stormers going to win by 5.5 or more.
Yeah.
You just start the game 0.
Yeah.
Lions. Minus 5.5 for the Stormers, meaning they've got to win by 1, so 6 points.
Yeah, okay.
To get the thing, and if you back the Lions, then you put 5.5 on the board for the Lions, and that's the score to kick off, 5.5 to 0, and so as long as they don't lose by 6 or more, you win. So that's about close to even money, about 0.91.
Okay, so I'm going with the bookies there.
So what would you say? You going over or under?
Sorry?
Are you taking the handicap or giving the handicap?
I think the Stormers are going to win by 7. So
okay, so you're betting on the Stormers.
Yeah. I'm betting on the Stormers. Yeah.
I have to bet on the Stormers as well. It's not a big bet for me. I just like to see them get back on track and do the fundamentals right, and wear the Bulls down. I think it'll be close, but I think the Stormers can win by 10. So I'm going to have a little 500 Rand bet on the Stormers to win by 5 and by 6 or more. I
wouldn't. That's not a bad bet. I mean, you asked me what I think, and I said by 7. But it could, well, about 7 or less, because I think that's most likely to be close, especially if it is wet. But if the Stormers produce their best performance, they were very poor against the Lions here in Cape Town in December. If the Stormers are at their best and their forwards start clicking again, because their forwards weren't that good against the Lions either in that first round game. If the forwards get on top of them at forward, it could well be, you could well be right.
Okay. Well, let's.
But if I was betting, I'd go for the 7 that I've just said.
Yeah. So more than 5.5.
Yeah.
So now you got the Bulls Sharks. Yeah. My thinking on this is that the Bulls are definitely progressing under Ackerman. There's no doubt about it. They easily saw off the Lions. They beat the other teams that they played as well, and that they should win that game outright by 8 points.
I'm going for less. I'm going. The shot. I think I've said it before that I do believe that there's relevance in looking at history, and to me, the fact that the Bulls haven't beaten the Sharks in the last 2 years has to mean something.
So if they see off the Sharks easily, have they now gone into the Ackerman?
Yes, if they win well against the Sharks, then it's a huge statement.
Yeah.
But I just think that the Sharks that we'll see at Loftus will be the Sharks that we saw in Cape Town.
Yeah. So
and that's not an easy game for the Bulls.
Yeah.
The Sharks will have Andre Esterhuizen, they'll have Ethan Hooker, they'll have they had Afaleli Fassi last week. They'll have Grant Williams back. They'll have Oxenshare back.
Yeah, they'll be stacked. They'll be loaded.
I do think. Okay, so I do think so. But having said that, I do think the Bulls have the edge at forward. I do think that, and the Sharks beat the Stormers, in 2 games, and there was quite a big difference in the scores. But the reality was that there were some areas where the Sharks. I thought the Stormers forwards were scrum was better than the Sharks in the second half of both of those games. In fact, the one thing that I really hope for this weekend is that the refereeing is better than in the last couple. The South African refereeing has become poor, and I'm not thinking because there wasn't too much wrong in this last game.
We need Holly Jones or whatever.
This game in Joburg wasn't so bad, but the game I can't remember the guy who was in charge in Durban. Yeah. I think he's from Pretoria. That game was. I mean, the Stormers actually were done in by the referee in that game.
Yeah,
I think some of the Sharks would probably even supporters would even recognise that it was horribly one side. All the calls went against the Stormers, and one area where in both games the calls went against the Stormers was that the dominant scrum wasn't rewarded. Yeah. There were some scrum penalties that went against the Stormers that shouldn't have.
Scrum pumping, did you say?
and particularly in very sort of like a crucial part of the game as well. Towards the end, I think once Vernon McTongo came on in Cape Town, I thought he was on top and he was penalised. So I think that that the Bulls probably have the better pack.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, they don't have Etzebeth at the moment, the Stormers. The Sharks. Jeez, I must get that right. The Stormers, Sharks. But I definitely wouldn't go for a big Bulls win. No, if they win, they're going to win by less than... if they win, to me, they're going to win by less than 5.
I agree with you. And the spread here is 10.5.
Okay. So in favour of the Bulls.
In favour of the Bulls. So I'm going to take the Sharks plus 10.5. Start the game with 10.5. For 1,000 rand.
No, definitely.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't think I've if you ask me what my gut feel is, gut feel is that this. I'm giving you my logic. My logic tells me that the Bulls, because they've got the better pack and possibly a more physical pack, given though that JP won't mess around with his team and play Pepsi off the bench this week. I mean, he had some really strange selections last week. Mm-hmm. If the Sharks' pack is at full strength minus Etzebeth, they're still inferior in my view to a Bulls team that has Wilco Low in it.
Yeah.
And Ruan Norkie in it. So I think that I make the Bulls marginal favourites. But having said that, I've just got a funny feeling that the Sharks are going to win. I don't know why. It's just
you should take the 5-1 on offer for the Sharks to win that outright then. Because it's not a bad bet, is it? I mean, the history's there and everything else, and it should be a close game.
They've got good. Don't forget, there was that Curry Cup semi-final. I know that Curry Cup doesn't matter, but the teams were almost at full strength when they played each other in a Curry Cup semi-final 2 years ago, and the game went to extra time, and the Sharks won off the last move of extra time. In fact, they didn't. The scores were deadlocked, but the Sharks had scored more tries. Trevor Nyakani scored the try. So to me, it's just the Bulls. The Sharks have the Bulls' number at Loftus at the moment.
Okay.
And there must be a reason for that. And I'm not convinced that what you're saying is correct yet, that they're coming right under Ackerman.
What did I say was wrong?
No, that they're coming right under Ackerman. I still think we've got to see... I think we've got to see a couple of weeks. So if it's going to be raining at Ellis Park, it's probably going to be raining at Loftus.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, because they're 60 kilometers apart.
So I did check the weather, and the weather says it's not going to be torrential. It's going to be a smattering, you know.
But it's going to be cooler and weird, and that does help.
23 degrees.
That does help the coastal team.
Yeah.
It does. The aerial game is going to be huge at Loftus. In fact, the aerial game in both games is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So it's but. Yeah, so the Sharks aerial game with Fussy there and with they weren't good against the Lions, but they would have worked at it this week.
Yeah,
and hopefully they'll bring Jordan Hendrickson back at flower half as well as the starting flower half. So I'm saying that the Bulls are right to be favourites. I mean, it's correct for the bookies to make the Bulls favourites, but
not
I'm
by
just
10
saying
and a half.
that I've got a Gavin Rich feeling that this is going to be a game where, like I had with the game in Edinburgh, I mean, I've just got a funny feeling Scotland are going to do it, and I've got a funny feeling that...
Well, but I think we're both striking at 80%, so our feelings tend to work.
Yeah.
We feel... What would you say the certainty is for the Stormers to beat them Lions by 5.5? I would say that's about a 65% certainty. But I think the main bet that we want to go, I think there's an 80% certainty the Sharks won't lose by 10.5.
I'd agree.
Yeah.
I'd agree. It'll be a close game.
Yeah.
It'll be a close game, and I still haven't made up my mind yet on who I'm going to bet. Like later in the week, and I'll write something on the internet. I haven't yet decided who I'm going to go because I'm going to see what's being said and let's see the team as well.
Yeah.
But from what I'm told, both teams are going to be at full strength. So
should be a great game.
That means for the Bulls, they'll have Kane and Moody, they'll have Andre Pollard. Wet weather game with Andre Pollard, you'd want that. The Sharks will have, as I say, Hooker and Esterhuizen back. They'll have Fussy did play last week, and they'll have Oxenshare, and they'll have a stronger pack than they had in Joburg.
Yeah. So, folks, there you have it. Like and subscribe. We've given you some good advice. Take it, don't take it. Make every bet a winning bet this weekend, and the best of luck with every selection that you make. And, Gav, always a pleasure. Great to see you. You look fresh, relaxed, and look forward to next week's show with the build-up to England versus
The reason
Italy.
I look fresh is that for the whole of last week, I ate only fish.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
So maybe I should be giving people dietary advice.
Is it giving you some swimming benefits?
I need to start that again.
Okay. Gav, thanks for coming in. Always a pleasure, and I'll see you next week, mate.
Great. Thanks,
Thanks,
Kevin.